Hey guys, welcome to the meeting. Very grateful you were able to make it. Unfortunately, Ms. Duron was not able to make it today, but I think with both of us, well, with you guys and myself, we're gonna be able to come out with a very nice walkthrough form that we can use for this academic year. So before we start, this is gonna be a short agenda. I'm hoping to do around 25-30 minutes. First, we're going to be talking about, the benefits and why it's important to have a walkthrough form. And then to be able to create a form, we need to identify the needs of the school. And then we're going to be discussing, how to create a walkthrough form, and then just a really quick summary. So for the introduction, what are the benefits of conducting walkthroughs? A lot of you guys have been teaching for quite a lot of years, myself included. And one of the benefits about conducting walkthroughs or having walkthroughs is one, for the development of the teachers and the students, to build relationships, especially if you're a new assistant principal or principal. This gives you a very good opportunity to meet your staff, also to meet your goals, the school goals, increase scores if that's going to be one of the needs, and also to be able to look at data. Walkthroughs are data that you can analyze and you can make better improvements. And why is a walkthrough form important? Because having a strong walkthrough form is going to be able to, once again, collect the data, analyze it, and be able to make the improvements that are necessary for the students or for the teachers. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys some of the walkthrough forms. This is the one that we have at our school. So it basically is quite long. It goes to domain 1, domain 2, domain 3, domain 4, and each domain, basically what we do here is, before they come to your classroom, they let you know which of these domains they're going to be looking at. So they're only focusing in one of the domains. They're not focusing in the whole thing. This is another one that I found on Google. Very simple: physical organization, craftsmanship, culture, general academics. So it just basically goes to those specific points. Another one, this is more about, if you look at it, it talks more, it's asking about the teacher in each of those questions. But what about the student? So whenever we're conducting walkthrough, we need to be looking not just at the students or the teacher, but both of them. Why? Because the main focus of the walkthrough is how are we going to be able to develop our students on our teachers. So identifying the needs, knowing our school is going to be essential. So a lot of us, before we even apply for a job at a school, what's the first thing that you guys do?
Well, one of the things that I do whenever I apply for, whenever I look for a specific school, like the demographics, for example, like what kind of audience are you going to be tailoring your studies to? Like, for example, is it going to be at risk? Is it going to be a lot of a certain group of people? Is it going to be a lot of people that are ELL learners? Some of those factors, that's what we look into whenever you look at certain schools that you applied for.
Mm-hmm. And Marina?
The same. I was going to say the same. You get informed about the school, everything that you can, their mission, their objectives, their demographics, the neighborhood, and everything related to the school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for example, in our school, as you know, we have, it's a quite big school. We have 3,332 students. The majority are Hispanic, 57%. 24 are African American, and 9.2 are white, and 7% are Asian. 60% of our students are economic disadvantaged, and 51% are at risk. So that means that a lot of these students, they're having some, having problems at home, they're having problems at school, they have different needs that we have to meet here at school. Teachers, our teachers, we have 282 teachers. The majority of their teachers are in the 1 to 5 years of experience, and with a 29.7%, but we also have a 28.7% in teachers that they've been teaching for 6 to 10 years or 11 to 20 years of experience. So we have very good experienced teachers, and that's one of the things that I looked at whenever I'm doing my walkthroughs and whenever I'm doing my forms, to see if the scores they're low, because do we have a lot of new teachers, or that has to do a lot of it influenced a lot in this in our scores. Our attendance, the attendance decreased compared to last year. Now we have a 92.7, and last year was a 94, and it's also lower to the districts. And the districts is 95.4. And the dropout rate increased by 0.3% compared to last year. Our graduation rate went lower by 1.9 compared to the district. And our STAR scores are below the district level by 1.2%, but we are higher in most of the areas compared to the state. So we are a little bit lower than the district, but we're doing better than the state. So based on this information, what do you guys think we're needing in our school?
Well, based on the information, you do have to consider the dropout rate and the STAR score, because usually whenever you look at those stats, you sometimes consider the batch of kids that are taking that test, because one year you're going to have a group of kids that are going to excel in that certain area, and then the next batch is going to be different. So what's going on with those batch of students, and also are the same people that are dropping out, are those the ones that are not passing the STAR test? That could be something to look into.
Yeah, you're right. Marina, any ideas?
I think one of the things that it would be a great idea to implement in any school with those low rates would be to give the teachers more time to focus on their classes instead of giving them more administration work. Sometimes that happened to me in the last 2 years. I was more focused on all the things that I have to do besides my teaching work. And I guess for every teacher, it would be better for you to just dedicate the time that you're spending doing some other things that people in administration can do. So that will allow you to focus on your teaching and strategies in the classroom and see all the how your students are doing and what you can do to improve their scores.
Okay. So for example, using the PLC to the maximum, collaborating with other teachers in creating lesson plans. I remember sometimes in the PLCs, it was more the person in charge of the PLC talking too much and not allowing time to be able to work on your lesson plans or an activity.
Exactly. So you can collaborate better and implement more things and actually work on the things on the things that you have to work to help students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also use that as a tool to kind of help you out, like exactly look like, okay, what is this teacher doing that's working, and what is it that I'm doing that's not working as well? Like exchange of ideas or some kind of strategy that may have worked with, let's say, for example, with Dillashaw, but it's not working with me. So, something along those lines, like interchange ideas and see what worked with him. It may have worked with me, but it depends on the delivery as well.
Okay.
And one other thing that I think is very important is that every school should start dedicating more time for the curriculum and the scope and sequence of the school. For instance, for us, we have to do the lesson plans every single time. So I guess when you have a very well curriculum already done and lesson plans already done, every teacher, a new teacher, can just implement whatever is in there and put more into the lesson plan to do it, to make it better, instead of every single year, every teacher is, in our case, it was like,
Yes.
yeah.
Sure.
So you are wasting a lot of time there, just making everything, you know. Some schools already have their lesson plans, their curriculum very well established. You can just put some more in there.
True.
And adding to her point, something along the lines like every year y'all like it feels like y'all had to be reinventing the wheel. There's some other districts as well that that also like they don't have specific curriculum set up for specific subjects. For example, sixth grade ancient civilizations, they had to reinvent the wheel every year because there was no curriculum specialist there to kind of say, to set the pace and also kind of set the tone for everybody else around that was willing to teach that grade in particular.
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay. So now we have a little bit of about, you know, a better idea about the school needs and about our teachers, about our students. Let's kind of go into detail about 4 major areas that usually have an impact in, you know, creating good walkthroughs and also developing teachers and also developing our students and ourselves as well, to how best we can help the teachers, help you guys, but also how the teachers can help the students and the students can help, you know, getting good scores. So one of the first things that we're going to be talking about is classroom instruction organization, student engagement, alignment of instruction, and rigor of instruction. So for classroom instruction organization, what do you guys expect whenever you come to think about, you know, whenever your appraiser comes in, what are the some of the things that you would like to see in the classroom?
When it comes down to it, as if I were to do a walkthrough, the first thing I would see is like, does he have the content objective down? Do they have the lesson objective down, as well as critiques? I want to know when I first walk in there, I want to know exactly what it is that is going to go on for that lesson for today, and also is whenever we transition to certain activities, what are the specific instructions that are going to be laid out? Is it going to be like are you going to be speaking of them? Or are you going to put them on a PowerPoint slide? Are you going to say some kind of signal that tells you, okay, it's time to transition to this activity, it's time to go to this other activity? Stuff, visuals as well. Okay. Because people tend to learn different.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. And what do you expect to see from a teacher? I mean,
the teacher, for example, would have to be, especially when giving out a lesson, whenever giving out a lesson, not trying to be all over the place, and also in certain things, keep it short and get to the point, because sometimes kids have a tendency of getting lost when you're over explaining things. If that makes sense.
Yes, that's true. But another thing, I think I would like to see a very confident teacher, a teacher who feels very secure and very that he has enough knowledge about what he's teaching, you know, that he knows exactly what he's going to teach. Organization and structure is very important for the teacher and for the students, and the pacing as well, mutual respect is what I would like to see. I would like to see the teacher just walking around calmly, making sure everyone is getting what the teacher is teaching, of course. Just being there in case somebody needs more help, extra help, supervising.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And what about the students? I mean, how do you want to see the students?
Well, you gotta know your audience. You do have to know your audience on a certain basis because you're gonna have to do certain things a little bit different depending on what audience you may have. You definitely do want to see them engage. You definitely do want to see them being active in terms of um, even collaborating with with other students, like seeing different points of views of certain subjects.
Thank you so much. We're gonna go ahead now to just a quick recap. You know, about classroom. You mentioned classroom work from students should be visible also in the classroom. Marina mentioned about teacher being prepared, organized, instruction be differentiated, visible learning objectives. What you mentioned, Seha, circulating around the room, working in a small group of students, and questioning students also for further their thinking. What about the student engagement? Well, just imagine you're in the classroom. While in the classroom, what can the teacher do to maintain the students' engagement?
A variety of activities, a variety of teaching strategies, because you know every student learns in a different way. So the teacher has to cover all the modalities that so the teacher can reach more students that way.
Okay.
And you know, you have to use technology, games. It's a variety of things.
Yeah. So some of the strategies will be technology, differentiating the instruction. Second, any idea?
Hands-on activities, students for especially for language. I mean, maybe probably the most of the subjects, but hands-on activities, right?
Yeah.
Those are very important as well when you involve more than one sense.
Yeah.
And also including like a bunch of different ways on how to answer different questions, especially like open-ended questions to kind of test their higher thinking skills. Because if you say, for example, do you think this is a good idea? A lot of them are going to say yes, but or no, but they're not going to have they're not going to have like some that's not higher level thinking because it's going to be close-ended and the conversation ends at right there and then. I guess something on the lines of wording certain questions differently. Like for example, one strategy, odd one out. Which one of these does not belong here? That kind of is a starter, and then slowly builds up their higher level.
Yes, I guess as a teacher, when we are creating our lessons, we have to consider every time the Bloom taxonomy. So that way the students start with the knowledge, with the pre-knowledge, all the way to evaluate and.
Great. Then, yeah, I mean, that's our goal for the students. Well, for us to create lesson plans that are engaging, challenging, and as you mentioned, the Bloom's taxonomy, it's very important for us to follow. Right now, we see a lot of schools, a lot of lesson plans just focusing on the understanding and demonstrating part. But
Right.
once we get to the analyzing and creating, that's when students are being challenged and demonstrating us in a very effective way that they're understanding what we're teaching them. For example, how can the teacher be a class facilitator?
For one, being a class facilitator, during the discussion, they could actually, during the group discussion, they could just listen to what a student has to say, and then just like kind of like let them speak in particular and see what kind of points of views they have, and also make sure that it is a respectful environment to where any opinions are welcome, because of course you may have some hostile reactions depending on who your audience is.
Sure. Yeah, very good.
We have to know our students very well, so we'll be able to help them and meet them exactly where they need to be met.
Yeah, good job. Just a really quick recap: collaboration between students engagement and tasks. Students ask questions that clarify the extent of the understanding. Following classroom routines is going to be key. Following directions in a timely manner, and students using feedback to revise of thinking. So next one, alignment of instruction. How can teachers show they are working together? What will be one of the signs that you can see in the classroom that teachers are working together?
Kind of when a teacher, whenever there's a walkthrough, the teacher, the person could walk into the classes. For example, like there's 4 world geography teachers. They're all kind of teaching the same thing, or they're mirroring each other. And on top of that, they're like in the same, kind of like in the proximity of where they're supposed to be according to the scoping sequence, as well as the pacing. Even the pacing calendar, of course, due to certain circumstances, certain things are going to change. But as long as they're not that far off of each other, and as long as they're tailoring the lesson closely relevant to the teaks that are required, because if they're doing something else that's not there, what are they doing?
Good. Marina, any ideas?
You say that the question was, how can you see that the teachers are collaborating?
Yeah, or they're working.
That's what your question. Yeah. That they work together.
Yeah.
Well, for instance, when one of the teachers is absent and the other teacher is covering, you are covering the same thing, so you can share material. You can share strategies, so students are going to be in the same level, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. And even though you're not teaching the same class, I think by you having the same format in your classroom, writing your objectives, what is the goal for the class, having an agenda, and that also reflects that teachers are working together because they have this, they're sharing ideas. I mean, you can go to a classroom and the teacher starts the lesson right away, but he's not really warming up the students. It's not guiding them of what's going to be the learning point of the day. Then they get a little bit lost. But when the teacher is, has agenda and explains to them what's going to happen, that gives them a little more calm and a little more clear expectation of the day. And whenever you see that with every teacher, that basically reflects that they are collaborating as well together. Let's see. So just a recap about this. Assignments and lessons are aligned to the general education. So like Ceja said, the TICs are being followed. Instruction is presented in multiple ways, allowing students to access resources are needed. Differentiating strategies are used to meet the range of learning needs, and teachers utilizing questions of students to ensure they master the material and make modifications. And also, one of the things that Marina said, if a teacher is absent, the other teachers know, they're coming the same material, so they can actually jump in and assist the I forgot the word, the assistant for that day, or I forgot the word.
Substitute.
The substitute, oh my God, it's summer. So I remember, teaching with my other teacher. We had the same material, we had the same lesson plans, so we knew what was expected for that day. So the rigor of instruction. What are some ways to see a higher level thinking in the lesson?
Well, for starters, it took me a while to figure out what was rigor. It took me like about 3 years into teaching because they kept saying the word rigor. I'm like, what is rigor? To the point where I don't even know what's rigor. But one way that it could be done is by, of course, going back to Bloom's taxonomy. Like, does this lesson, because a lot of the lessons, yes, they focus on identifying and explain, just to show basic mastery. But once you get more deeper into a certain subject, you're going to kind of know exactly where the students are in terms of whether they have mastered that content or not. If they're not, if they're having problems identifying or explaining things, they have not mastered just the most simple stuff. So you have to focus more time on that.
Yeah. So how can you provide more opportunities for the student to show you, or to, to show you that they understand the material? So think about assessments. How will you in an assessment provide different opportunities for the student to show you that they understand the material?
For instance, for me, I can do like a simple question, a short answer question. We can start with something like that. And then from there, I can show the content in different modalities. It can be an audio to see, we can do a reading, for instance, and then first see how much pre-knowledge they have about what we are going to read that day. And then reading the lesson, then to check for comprehension. And then if we can show an audio about the same content and then a video or something like that. That way you can evaluate all the means of communication for them. And it's very important, as we mentioned before, to follow the Bloom's taxonomy. So you are not focusing just in the comprehension or application, but they have to analyze, they have to produce, they have to evaluate whatever they are learning.
Okay.
And adding to that point, for me, when I was teaching AP Human Geography, what I had to do every single section, I had to make sure that there was two assessments. One was with the multiple choice questions, and also the FRQs. For me, the FRQ was the best tool for me to understand whether they knew whether the subject was mastered or not, because the way that they answered the question in a certain format. Now, if they kept the question really like without formal structure, they had no idea. And then when it came down to like, okay, they have a whole argument from A through F, A through G, then for the most part, they kind of know shown some level of mastery, and also kind of like figure out patterns along the way. Okay, what part okay, well, a lot of these guys missed that question number 27. Why was that? Oh, it had to do with something with Ravenstein's law. I think it gives you kind of an idea of exactly, okay, this could be contents that we could teach over again if many kids have the same problem with that specific question.
Yeah.
And one element that is very important is when the student know the reason of the learning, why the student is learning whatever is she or he is learning. Because when they relate the content with real world problems or situations, they are going to be more engaged, and it's going to be more challenged as well. They can apply everything in real life.
Yeah, I think right now a lot of the focus on the lesson plans are related to the real world.
Yeah, real life application. My first year, I remember I had a student tell me, why are we learning world geography? My response was like, hey, you got to know where you're at in certain places of the world. I mean, if a dude, a Pachuco, comes out of you know where it tells you, well, you know where you're at, Holmes, you've got to answer. That's why you learn geography. So hence real world application. It might be a little unorthodox, but it's there.
Yes. Okay, so a quick recap. For this section, students develop their own learning tasks that stretch their creativity, originality, design, or adaptation. Task includes the opportunity for students to assess their own learning and move forward to adapt their knowledge to new activities. Lesson is designed to inspire all students to engage in high-level questioning around the learning task with a teacher and their peers. So the summary for this short discussion, this new form will help us meet the mission and the vision of the school, and will help us improve students' academics, and will help us develop our teachers. We will be focusing on classroom instruction, student engagement, alignment of instruction, and rigor of instruction. And the principal and the professor will be conducting regularly formal and informal observations. And once again, guys, having this is not just to be looking at what the teachers are doing wrong, but how we can help our teachers provide the best quality of instruction to our students. So I will send you guys shortly all the information that we gather, and then with that we can go ahead and start you know, creating our new walkthrough form. So I appreciate it so much, and I see you guys tomorrow.
Okay.